Alright, so Shinku's been out for a few days now, and people have mixed feelings about her performance. Some people feel like she's totally fine, some people feel like she's even good, some people feel like she leaves a little bit to be desired. So that's what we're going to be talking about here today, as well as the new reveals that we got, which have put a little bit of fuel to this fire because they're a bit distracting from the current characters that we have on banner in this current patch. But are those concerns even valid? So let's get into this thing. The other day I posted a video going over her tier list placement and everything going on with that. If you wanted to go into full details on that, I'll put a link to that in the description. But basically, she landed here at tier 0.5, and some people feel like that's not good enough. Now, it needs to be noted, this was with the watch list tag, so she could be moving up, especially if Iroi comes out and ends up being a tier 0 support that ends up being like synergetic with her. That alone in itself could end up bringing her up. Plus, they made this tier 0.5 placement without actually taking a look at the buffs because they were able to look at it on CN, and obviously we got a new update that has like kind of basically like a buffed version of her out right now. It's not like a crazy amount, but it's definitely something to take note of. But last night I posted a video of a solo clear using Shinku at level 70, and she was able to do it in 1 minute and like 50, like I think 3 seconds or something like that. That's pretty darn good, and it could have even been faster, but you know, this boss enemy, he kind of like, you know, he griefs you a little bit here. Both of those videos are in the description if you wanted to go take a look at those, but my point here is that just because a character lands at tier 0.5 doesn't mean that they're necessarily not that good. It also is important to note that this is kind of like a temporary tier 0.5 that has been given to Shinku. This is something that's probably going to change, and they might not update it until Iroi comes out. So this entire time between then and now, she actually might even be performing similar to a tier 0 to a tier 0, I should say. Don't forget that she did get those slight adjustments when she actually released on global. And real quick, I do want to point out that I put up a poll here, and you know, YouTube polls are limited, so I was only able to like actually poll so much here. But Shinku seems like she's doing fine. The fact that people are still even saying that they're going to be pulling for her, even though she's been out for 3 days, you know, that I think that's pretty good standings here. I think it shows that people are still very, very happy with Shinku, her performance, and happy to pull her, etc., etc. It does show there's a lot of hype around the new character as well, of course. Iroi, not as many votes for Iroi as I was expecting, but, you know, I totally get it. They're between these two powerhouses. So anyways, I just wanted to give you guys some of this information. This poll hasn't been up for a super duper long time, but the results haven't been changing over the time that I've been putting it up. And it should also be noted that if we can actually clear the endgame with solo A-rank units like Mint, I think Shinku is going to be totally fine, right? Even if she landed as like a tier 1 or something like that, she's doing okay here. There's no reason why anyone should feel bad or like should be put down or something like that for pulling this character whatsoever. However, I do want to point out that in the comments of the video where I was going over the tier list, plenty of players were experiencing, according to them, like some minor bugs with her in certain environments where like because of her ult state she might fall off the stage or something like that, or they felt like her performance was just a little bit worse than they were expecting based on the promo that she was getting and such, right? Some people even feel like she needs to get buffed again, right? So I do want to take note of that. It is valid that if they promoted her this much, then they kind of like, it gives this air of like the character's probably going to be a very pushed, very, very special unit. You know, that's usually what happens in these gacha games. But it's also important to note that that is not some kind of a guarantee or anything like that. And the little information we get from the CN, you know, server before it actually goes live on global, and obviously the beta and whatnot, that's obviously limited, and there could be changes like what we've gotten here. And obviously it's very like short notice information. We don't have a ton of time with the character before it's fully released on global. Just stuff to think about here. And when this character releases as a tier 0.5, some people kind of freak out because it's not literally a top tier. But I want you guys to understand that, again, this placement is only temporary. She could go up. And also, is tier 0.5 even a problem in a game like Neverness to Everness? It realistically isn't. This is the most like waifu or husbando over meta type of game out of like the bigger gacha games that we have right now. This is genuinely the most I don't care what the meta says, I can do whatever the heck I want kind of game. we look at these tier lists and we look at information like this, and like we obviously put in our input to the devs and whatnot so that certain adjustments and whatnot can be made if they are valid and necessary, of course. That's not what we're saying here, but it is important to note that, like, you don't really have to struggle too much in this game. This is definitely one of those moments where I think people might be jumping the gun just a little bit here. It's not like this became like some super insane drama or anything like that, but it is definitely a noteworthy thing to, I think, discuss. But I think that people might be a little bit misconstrued with her actual performance or maybe how she works. She does want to be on a charge team, and she wants to perform like kind of a specific rotation or like somewhat of a restricted rotation, and people might not necessarily be utilizing that, which is why they might feel like she's not performing as well as she should be. For example, when I was doing my solo clear, keep in mind she doesn't work properly in solo content, but also keep in mind she was still a beast and cleared that with ease and isn't really necessarily all that far behind any of these other like premium DPSs that came out. But to be real, the most important thing isn't what I think, it isn't what the community thinks, it's how you feel or how you want to experience the game, right? So if you feel like Shinku isn't performing like you feel like she should be, I do implore you to try to maybe like figure out her kit properly, put her on a good team with the right things that she needs or wants, before you kind of like jump the gun and make a kind of like a harsh or rash decision saying she's like bad or something like that. She's not bad. Like maybe you could go ahead and say, oh, she's not what I expected, or even go ahead and say mid to be funny. That's totally valid, right? But if after that you still feel like she doesn't have the chops, yeah, you're valid, bro. Like, you don't gotta be out there like getting no skin for the character if you don't feel like their character's performing like you want them to. You don't gotta be out there going for like the weapon or like for awakenings or anything like that if you feel like the character is not really up to what you wanted them to be. And it's totally valid to get distracted after new information comes out. It is only a couple days or so after her release, so if something else caught your eye, just go for it, bro, if that's what you want. I mean, Jesus, look at this. When I saw this is screenshots that I took from the game from like 1.0. When I saw this character in the game, I immediately knew that I wanted them, right? Now, the moment I realized they were a villain, I got a little bit worried we weren't going to ever get them in the game. I don't know if you've noticed, by the way, but their design slightly changed here. We'll go over that in just a sec here. But I mean, bruh, there's very, very valid reasons. What the heck how is that? It's just hanging off of there. Look at the hang time, the air time we got in here, right? Look, there's a little bit of the undercarriage going on too. We don't get that, I don't think, anymore, by the way, in the new version. But yeah, it's super valid to see this and know it's coming, and then jump ship and change your mind. It's your playthrough. It is your game. Play it how you want. Pull who you want. This is 7 million times, like 7,000 times valid, bro. Like a million times over. I mean, check this out, right? Like, and by the way, aesthetically, I think this is an improvement. You know, some might disagree with that. Let's go ahead and go over the change that actually happened here. This front necklace kind of thing that is like sort of draped over the front, hanging off of her. I don't know if this was an intended thing or not, or if this was just a last minute change or whatever. But there wasn't actually a lot going on in this piece of fabric in the front anyway, so I can see why maybe they made the change. If you look at the side view here, which this is a crime against humanity, or that we could be losing this. But the undercarriage here with the abs and the, yeah, you see all that, and like just the hang time, this was like a work of art going on over here. But as you can see, this front portion here has basically been like taken off of this and sort of added to this, like, I guess you could say similar to what Hattori has. It's like a white leotard thing going on underneath, and it's been sort of added to that. And then, as you can see, like some accents and stuff like that put into it. So the front piece is kind of like taken off and then integrated into the sort of body piece that she had, and even drapes over the front and even the back now. I'm sure we're going to get a similar side view thing going on here still. Just maybe not quite the same as we had going on. Obviously, I'm being a little bit extra gooner just for the sake of it, but you know, obviously, if that mole's... Hold on, is that mole there? I'm being silly here now. Oh, dang, that was hidden before? Crazy. Anyways, what do you think of the new design change? I think it's probably overall better, even if we do lose a little bit of this, even though we might not. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, you can see this white strap goes over the front, and then you actually can't see the undercarriage in this view, technically. So we could be getting a little bit of surprise. We may have not lost that. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think about this whole situation. Let me know if you think that the Shinku drama is valid, everyone jumping ship and whatnot on the character and moving on to a new thing. According to a poll that I put up earlier today, honestly, people seem to be level-headed and not necessarily diving into this whole drama situation, so I'm glad to see that. But anyways, let me know who you're pulling. Let me know what your thoughts are on the whole situation, if you like the new design or not, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.